I'd like to start with the US bearish count here on the S&P 500 because we can look at this as the A wave, and A and a B and a C. This is a weekly chart here. So it is possible for it to move down through here. There is still a bullish count for this market in that we can, without going to another chart, looking at this move up here as 1 and 2 coming into here. So it's not over just yet, but it's kind of interesting to look at it and compare. So this low here was in October, and if we compare this to the DAX, so I'll just move this out the way here. So the DAX also had a low in October here, but it wasn't on the 10th, it was on the 3rd here. Not a big deal, but just pointing out. So is it possible to have we've got we can count 5 waves up here. So can we look at this as a B wave up here? This was the A wave here, and ABC for the B wave here. Is it possible to view this as a B wave here? I think we need to take it into consideration. There's a couple of different ways we can look at it. We can move this over to here, and an A and a B and a C wave up here for that. There's different ways to look at that, but I think it's important that we do look at that because we have been counting 5 waves up here and we've been looking for a top here. Now obviously if we've got a top, what does that actually mean? Does it mean that I haven't updated this for a little while, so I'll just move this over to here. So is it possible to we've either got it as wave 1 and we'll come back for wave 2. That would be one way to look at it. Well, you could look at it a couple of different ways. You could look at it you could look at this. I've got another count that looks at it like this with wave 1 and wave 2 here, and then that would leave wave 1 here and then pulling back for wave 2 in a lower ground here. That would be that's another possibility, isn't it? That we need to just, it may not be true, but we need to take it on board as 1 and 2 coming up here, moving up higher, which would be in line with this one here as 1 and 2. But we don't know if that's true just yet either. So we just need to work through a few things. And I think it's important to put counts on the table and then work them and work. It's okay to work, 2 or 3 counts in these sorts of things. So it's either we can have something like that. We could also put this on top here. I'm just looking at the bullish counts really, as 1 and 2 pulling back deeper down here. And well, that's quite a big drop, isn't it? So we're aware of that. The other point is that we could have wave B up here and wave C could need to come over here like this. We're talking, stocks like Apple are doing the same thing as well. If I can just bring Apple across here as well, is we know that with Apple, with this wave 3 up here, we know this is corrective here. We know that we could possibly have a low in here and we could have this, but I don't have 5 waves up here yet. I've only got 3 waves up here. So it still have to get another move up to make that the case. So it's possible with the 3 wave move here to be completed and move down at this point. Apple's not doing that well at the moment. This is a monthly chart, and yeah, so we'd still be in a correction, just a bigger correction at the top here. There's still, anyway, there's lots of things going on globally that can, that are negative. That I don't need to find things; they're in your face. So yeah, all I could say is that we can have a low in here. We could just go straight up, continue to push up through here. That's possible. If we do have a turn in the S&P, then Apple's a good chunk of the S&P and a bigger chunk of the Nasdaq. So we could put this over here, which would put the S&P 500 at 3,000 when it comes down, but still be in a corrective move because this is corrective here. Do you understand? It's not like we got 5 waves coming down here straight up here. This is corrective. There's others like this, like Tesla as well, and so on. Anyway, that's just the sort of bearish story at this point. So if the S&P is going to, if Apple's going to go down and so on, then this could come down here. It may or may not be the case. I'm just, just working, surveying the future, so to speak. And that's where the S&P would be down there at closer to 3,000. So then, is it possible that this moves down back down to here, the same as Apple and the S&P and so on. They had the same, roughly the same turning points. There was lots of in the global markets. There was stocks from the top here. There were stocks that moved up a little bit through here, and pretty sort of like Google's a bit like this, you know, not moving up here. Amazon didn't move up as well. Some banks are like this here. In fact, some banks have moved down lower. Some banks moved up higher. Goldman's. Some in the middle. You know, there's stocks. You know, there's all sorts of stocks in that space in this particular rally here, basically. You know, so anyway, I'm just having a chat here because we're basically we're very close. We've either got the top in here, and we're going to be talking about that today as well, but or we're very close to it. And we also know too that you know, we're close. These highs here, we're at 16,000 is the resistance here at the moment, just roughly speaking. But it's not the high here, so we haven't really breached a new high here. Anyway, B wave can make a new high, it doesn't really matter, but we haven't made a new high here yet. So it does make a good case for 1 and 2 at this point, I have to say. But yeah, so anyway, these are the things that we need to sort of talk about from here on in, especially if we see this drop down a little bit further. Let's just cruise on the weekly chart here. So this is the daily chart. This is how we've been counting the 5 waves up here. So all the 3, 4 and 5 up here. So we've had 1, 2. It's been really messy here, and it's still a bit of a guessing game here. But we'll take a closer look at that. But I can't give you a confident, secure count to say that that top is in place. We could have one more little push to the upside for this. But we're close. So we could have it as basically wave 1 here. We could also have it, you know, a bit of a long shot, have it as a smaller wave 1 and 2 in here based on the S&P. So that means that this here from the low here would be up for wave 1 and then coming back for wave 2 and then pushing up again from that point. It's possible that the S&P's got that count, so we need to sort of map that out across. So that's possible. So we've got 3 types of tops here. One that can wave 2, this wave 2 that can take us back to the 15,000. This wave 2 that can take us back to between these 2 wave 4 somewhere in here around the 14,000. And we've got wave B that could take us much lower at that point. We know that we are close to a high over here, so we know that was going to run into problems. We've seen over the last weeks all of this topping here has created sort of overlapping wave structures, and it's been it's a little bit of a difficult count in there. And I have to say that, you know, there are a variety of counts in there. Which is the right one, or who's got the right one? I don't know. In a way it matters and it doesn't, because we just know that it's not going to go very far. If it's going to go up, it's just going to have another little push up, and then that would be the end of it. So we need to, you know, have a look at that a bit closer now. So coming over to here, this would put the top in play here on this particular intraday chart here, 20k ticks here of 1 and 2. And 3 and 4 and 5 here. Is that correct? Well, this is where one of the problems comes in here, you know. I mean, it looks like a sort of a 1 and 2 in here. Looks like all of the 3rd wave in here, a 4th and a 5th here, but this didn't make a new high over this one, so that's the problem, you know. So then you're kind of forced to put this wave 5 and 3 over here, and if you do that, then you've got a very weird wave 4 corrections here. We know wave 4s are, you know, can get a bit weird, but, you know, it kind of just brings us straight, because then I don't feel like there's 5 waves here, and then I feel like I'm in the guessing game, and then, you know, so there's boxes unticked. This didn't make a new high, and so on. Do I put this as the ABC? Is that the wave 4 there? It's a pretty small wave 5 compared to this wave 1 here because of the extensions in wave 3. We never did pull back to the 38.2% retracement level here. You know, is it possible we still need to put wave 4 here? Do we have another little wave 5 to go up here to finish off? You know, these are the things that I'm a little bit unsure about. I thought that I would have had it with the S&P, where we had up here for an ABC to come back here. This is not giving me 5 waves down here, so this top being in here is not a really good case at this particular point in time. I feel like it needs to be put over here, but I can see that some of the other markets are a little bit bearish. But I can see that the US dollar needs to make another low as well, by the looks of it. Just bringing this in over here for a moment, the US dollar here, it looks like we've got, got a bit of an impulse wave here. So to look at this as wave 4 here with 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 down here to make a new low for wave 1. So this will be, the euro dollar will be doing the same, looking for wave 1 here. If it is indeed the case, it may not be. But if we're looking for wave 1 here, the euro dollar and the DAX can be sort of hand in hand a little bit, so they can be pushing up here for that. We'll have a look at the euro dollar in a moment. So I'm just a little bit sort of unsure about this little area in here. We can just go in further from 20,000 ticks to 1,000 ticks and have a look here with 10 enough here. Plenty, yeah. So yeah, I've just been toying with the top here, and I've done a fair bit detailed sort of work on all this, try to understand it, and I understood, yesterday or whenever it was, the day before and stuff, that we could look at this as wave 1 to the upside here and pulling back for wave 2 in here with some sort of, see, this is still an ABC correction in here. I suppose we're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of that, I suppose. Yeah, I suppose it's not that fantastic. The extension in wave 5 here is pretty humongous compared to 1 and 2 and 3 in here. So we looked at it as a possible, wave 5 top. We're looking at it as wave 1. We can look at it as wave 3 because it's just a bit complicated. All of this is a little bit complicated. You've got overlapping wave structure, so it kind of gives you a few different counts. And then you got 5 waves here, but it didn't quite make a new high above here, which is not the end of the world. Obviously this is a corrective move here. This has got 5 waves in here, so that's fine. It hasn't taken out this low here, so this wave 1 here and wave 2, that could still be sitting in here because it didn't take that low out here. That's what wave 2s can do. But really, should we be looking at it as a wave 4? If this moves up here and then comes down here, then we can, eliminate this as wave 2. That'd be one count down and out of the way, but we're still left with 3 and 5 here. And we know the 38.2% retracement level is much closer to the previous wave 4 over here somewhere, So down at the 15.5, and the 500 here is going to give it really good support here as well. We also know that you could go long above this top here. That would be a long trade at that point. In fact, if you've got a classic trading levels pattern on the 800 here, first high above the level, the routine, then you could go a little bit earlier here. Instead of going long here on this top here, use the 900 over here to look for another classic trading levels pattern. So there's a few things here that still not making a lot of sense for me at this particular point in time. And this brings me to the FTSE as well. Yeah, this is the same count that I had on the Australian market, by the by, but the Australian market really came down quite deep here, so I couldn't use it as a wave 4. This was exactly the same count. So with the Australian market, it was really quite sort of interesting, and I think that we should bring it up and have a look at it. This is it here. It's got the same pattern here. We've had the 1 and the 2 and the 3 up here for this, and I can just remove this is my bullish count here, and it came down really much faster and harder here, and the wave 4 that I was looking for in this case here was at the 38.2% retracement level, which is just in here for that, and has pulled down 50%. But normally, we've kind of, technically, it hasn't overlapped wave 1, so technically I could put wave 4 here for that, right? But the thing is that the speed in which it came down is a little bit haunting, because wave C is normally, more of an angle here, but it has left me with 3 waves up here at this point. It hasn't broken any rules just yet, but yeah, it's just got more of a bearish like picture to it. If we go from 20k to 5k here, I think this is, yeah, so this is what I was looking at here. So 1 and 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can see this looks a bit more like the I didn't update this from or did I? Anyway, whatever. But anyway, I'm just pointing out that this move up here as 1, 2, and 3 up here. If I go to the FTSE now, you can see that they're the same, aren't they? I mean, Australia and the UK, you know, are obviously you know, very close in terms of you know, accounting and law and all of these sorts of things. So they've got exactly that's on 5,000 ticks, and this is on 5,000 ticks. So this date was on the 20th of March. This wouldn't be too far away, 20th of March. We had that 1, 2 here and the 3 here and this here, you know. So this one hasn't fallen back down that much in this case, you know. But the Australian one has. Starting to recover a bit this morning, but it's in its 50-60%. Oh, that should actually be dropped down a bit further, actually. I don't think that's just not quite. Oh, it's taken from there and not there. So I'll just double check on that. Yeah, so I'm just going to remove that. It's not quite accurate because it's down here further, but it's sitting right on the 50, bouncing on the 50 here. So I'll just leave that for the moment. But yeah, so we had that really strong fall here, but we got a bit of a fall here on the FTSE, but not as much, and it's held up a little bit nicer at this point. So I'll just tuck this away to bed. And so yeah, I mean, we could still have this as wave 4 here in this particular instance. Is that going to be true? I've tried to count this down here, and I can count it down in 5 waves, and I can count it down as an ABC here. So that's not really sort of helpful either here. I'm thinking that we'll give it a session or two, and this move down here, once it bounces off this, it'll bounce off the 72 here. Because when you get 772 or 272, then it becomes a much stronger support, just more so than a normal 72. I don't know why that is. But once we've got that low in place, anything below that low here, right, anything below that low, once it's in place, then we'll have to be more bearish. But otherwise, we'll have to look at wave 5 to move up here for this. So let's see how this plays out here. It doesn't give a very nice 5-wave move down to this point either. It's almost like it's got 5 waves in here, then a correction, then 5. So it's almost like wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So we could just get a little ABC pattern here and then down again. So we have to be quite careful. We just need to give it a little bit of time. After the Fed's comments and so on, we just got to let the dust settle a little bit and see what comes at this particular point. Okay, so I don't want to make any calls here. I can go and look at this on the intraday, but it's not going to help us much. I just want to give it a little bit. If we get an impulse wave up here, then we'll look to buy the pullback. If we get an ABC from this top to this bottom, from that top to here, that 50-60%, that will be important at this point. See, it's hard to say, you know, we could go 1, 2 here and 3, 4, 5. But it looks like it's all sort of bundled up in here. So it's like an extra leg here. So it can be bearish. So we just have to be a little bit careful about what we do here. I just want to see what the bounce looks like in this instance here. Yeah, but that's that. So let's move along. And this is the euro, but I want to go to the want to go back over here for a moment. So with the US dollar index here, I was looking for it to go up further because we could look at this little move here as 5 waves or 3 waves here. There's a little spike in it, made it tricky. And then this move here, you know, because I was going to look at it as wave 1 here and then wave 2 here, but this was just too big for wave 2. And then we've had the move up here, which is actually in 3 waves. So we've really got to look at this as a DXY over here. And it does appear that we're getting 5 waves down here now. So I'm thinking that that we could end up having a larger 5 waves here for this to make this wave 1 here. And then we'll have our ABC over here for wave 2. And when we do have this ABC over here for wave 2, then we're going to see the top of the euro here, the top of the sterling, the top of the DAX, all of that sort of stuff. Now, it's still possible that the market can push up from here as some sort of, you know, C wave over here for this and push up. So I just got to wait and see. I know it's not going to go, nothing's going to go very far at this point. We're either going to make a few more little highs in the euro dollar and the DAX and the FTSE while we make a new low here, and then we'll get the turn here. you know, this will be it here. So looking at the DAX as a wave 1 top with, and the euro dollar and a wave 2 over here kind of makes a lot of sense to me when I look at the US dollar here. So let's just see how this plays out. So yeah, this needs to come down further. That means these will need to come up further. Yesterday, sorry about all this here, this is what we're talking about yesterday, but what we noted yesterday was we had 5 waves here, and then we had a correction, we had 5 waves over here. So taking this top out here would confirm that this is in 3 waves here. So if it takes out this one, it's going to take out this top here. So we really need to look at this as wave 4 here, very much like the DAX and the FTSE in that case. Yeah, so we need to look at this. There's probably a couple of different ways to look at this over here. So I don't need that wave 4 there. It could be possible that wave 3 actually sits over here as well. I don't know that just yet. I'll go back and do some work. But as I mentioned yesterday from down here somewhere, that we would be pushing up here. So we have pushed up in that, you know, we have pushed up here. So that's okay. And we'll continue to push up. It looks like 1 and 2 here, actually, if I don't mind me saying. It looks like a little 1 and 2 here. It's kind of, if I look at this here, that's, see, in this little move here, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in here. So that's all of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So that's that. This one here, this little push here belongs to probably, but that looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So maybe I need to go about it different. Still got one extra little wave there. What am I not seeing? 1, 2. I could push all that together. That might make a difference. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's from there. That's 1. Where's my little drawing tool? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to there. That makes sense. And then this one here is 1 and 2 in here, and this is 3 and 4 and 5 to here. This is the AB. So we should be, I'm not sure about this here, but we should be pushing up here further with that. This could get a bit more complicated. I don't understand that in here a little bit. If I have to push that there, I could probably get that as an ABC and 1 and 2. And yeah, we should be pushing up here higher for that. So that means that, so there's a couple of levels here that you'll need to be mindful of. Is this one here, 1.11. That will be the next major one along the way. We've been through this one here. This was the 5 here, obviously. Nice little classic trading levels pattern there. So yeah, and the sterling, how's that going? Let's just push this to the side. So yeah, so this is, I'm unsure about this here too. I've had this as 1 and 2 I'm okay with. And this is 1, I'm okay with that, that's great. And I'm okay with 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 here, even though we've got the overlap here. Because otherwise I've got to push this, as 1 and 2. And then I've got to, just doesn't make much sense at that point. I think I'm okay with this. I just don't understand this in here. That's a little bit sort of messy, you know. But also too, when you think about it, you can see the length of wave 3 here, if that is the go. So that makes wave 1 here and wave 5 about the same. So we could push up quite a bit higher here for this to get that top in play here. So I think we could look at this here as to go up further. We can put this at the 125. That's going to be important. We'll talk about the level in a moment. So we could probably look at this as, we know this coming into the top there somewhere. We'll probably look at this as 1 and 2 in here. So there'll be sort of more up there. The other levels here that you need to be mindful of between 2 and 3 here is obviously 1, 2 and 3 to make up group 1, and then 5 and then 8. So we can put in 8 over here. And when we're talking about 8, we're talking about group 2. So that will be the 65 number in here, and the 27, 22, well, it's actually 22 and a half. So you can go again, oh, it's gone past it. That's close enough. that's all of group 2 in there. So you know that if you get a nice support in group 2, then you'll be pushing up at that point. So that's what it is. I have to point out too that this 125 here, it has been tested but quite deeply here. I mean, it's been a resistance here for a while. It tested it quite deeply here. So I'm going to drop this wave 2 here because you might get some short sharp shot here to hit it nice and square and then push up at that point. Okay, so just be a little bit careful about that. But that was a length of wave 1, wasn't it? Roughly, not quite, but sometimes wave 5 is a bit smaller depending on the sentiment of what's going on at the time. And maybe, you know, maybe this is the whole thing. Maybe wave 3 is over here. You know, maybe we could look at this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here and push that. Still not going to work, is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4. Kind of got to go to there, really. I mean, it's just a bit difficult to count. I can't get my head around it. It normally comes to me, but I'm always time poor. I know that's an excuse for not being organised. It's hard to be a male and organised. So, yeah. Just watch that retest on that 125 area there. That's the main point. Alrighty, I'll leave it at that. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.